Sometimes I didn't hit my mark, or sometimes my performance was lower than what it was last week due to the fact I didn't get enough sleep. But overall, we started tracking. And I was like, oh, I've never done this before. But now, have you ever wondered what successful people have that you don't? What are they doing that you might not be doing? How are they so fit, toned, and healthy while you're not? You ever wondered what you might be missing? Hi, my name is Mo Gayas. Essentially, I'm a kid who was obsessed with winning and sharing the lessons with you because growing up, I wish I had someone like me to help me out. On the Healthy Systems podcast, you will learn one main idea, system from each episode that you can use in your life, whether that is financial, relationships, fitness, and wellness. So if you're a millennial, you're hyper ambitious, this podcast is for you because the more systematic your life is, the more you can win and not waste time. So join me on your journey to building a life of healthy systems for yourself. Welcome to Healthy Systems Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Moe, and today's healthy system for the day is tracking your numbers. Whew, this is a fun one because I will walk you through my story of how I learned the importance of this. Because the word healthy systems, what is healthy and what is unhealthy, right? What is a system? Well, the only way a system exists is if we can track it, if we can put numbers on it, right? Same thing with healthy. What is considered healthy, what is considered unhealthy is generally based on the data, right? Unhealthy data looks very different than healthy data, right? So at the end of the day, I find it funny that I didn't record this podcast earlier because I didn't even think of it. But tracking your numbers matters a lot when you're designing a life full of healthy systems. And we all know if we have more healthy systems in our life than unhealthy systems, we win by default. But if you have a lot of unhealthy systems and very few healthy systems, our chance of winning is very, very less. So today, let's talk about tracking your numbers. So the year was 2016, 2017. I was graduating college. And at that point, I was, finishing up engineering and science education as a computer scientist and a biologist. And at that time, you're very academic. You look at the world differently. You haven't really gotten the real world yet. So my very first experience with this was in 2017 when I started getting ready for my first men's physique show in fitness. So I was an overweight, fat engineer student who got himself in shape with the help of an online fitness coach. And then I made a promise to myself that I'll compete in men's physique right as soon as I finish college. I'll start getting ready for it with the help of my coach. So I did. So as soon as we started, the first thing my coach had me do was start tracking the data of my workout performance. So he gave me a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, he would have exercises like the squats and overhead barbell presses, bench press, etc. And then it would be how many reps I did on Monday, how many sets I did, as well as how much weight I lifted. And then my coach would also tell me how many reps and sets he wanted me to do. And then I would jot down the weight I lifted. That way we had clear data on every single workout performance. Sometimes I didn't hit my mark, or sometimes my performance was lower than what it was last week due to the fact I didn't get enough sleep. But overall, we started tracking. And I was like, oh, I've never done this before. But now I kept getting better because now I could see numbers going up or down. And I was like, okay, now I can manipulate the variables when it comes to my sleep, recovery, water, macros, right? All of that. And then the next thing my coach had me do was he started having me track my nutrition. We started tracking how many calories was Mo consuming every day. How many of those calories were carbohydrates? How many of those were proteins? And how many of those were fats, right? We started tracking the nutrition. So now we're tracking the workouts, we're tracking the nutrition. And then later on, we also started tracking the cardio, whether it was 30 minutes a day on the Stairmaster and to burn 300 calories. So now everything was turning into numbers. And the more I did that, the leaner I got. For the first time in my life, I started getting so lean and I was like, this is amazing. I've never been at this place before and life doesn't feel that miserable, to be honest. This feels pretty normal to me. And so that was my first realization in life where I was like, okay, numbers really help you. Like fat loss is not a mystery. It is actually a numbers game if you like just pay attention to the numbers. So then the next thing that happened is now I'm in corporate America. I'm in healthcare consulting and I started making some real money. And I was like, okay, this is the first time this is happening. So I made a spreadsheet for myself. So I would track how much money was coming in every month, what was my budget, how much money I was spending, where was the money going, and I would just track that. Gave me a lot of it gave me a lot of emotional support in a sense where I didn't feel like I was like falling behind. I didn't feel like I need a financial analyst, to be honest. I was just tracking my own number and I knew how much was coming in and how much was going out. Basics, right? But tracking numbers really helped. And then the next time this reminder came back to me was, whew, this one was fun. I moved to California and I remember one of my friends was visiting California and we were going to Long Beach, actually, no, Laguna Beach. And we were driving around in his Mustang and looking at these beautiful houses. So, again, knowing your numbers is good, but this is a story I'm telling you where I was scared of looking at the data. So, you might be in that place where you're like, oh, Mo, I don't know if I want to step on the scale. I don't know if I want to look at that number. I don't know if I want to look at my credit card statements because it's scary, right? So this was the time when I was in that place. So we're driving around Laguna Beach, looking at these beautiful houses. And I liked some of those houses so much, yet I was scared to look at their prices on Zillow. I just felt like my dreams would be shattered if I just looked at the prices, right? And the next day, I come back to my place. I'd saved their addresses. I'm like, one day I'll look at the prices for these. So I come back to my house the next day in LA, and I'm talking to my coach, one of my mindset coaches at the time when I was first starting off. And I was like, Nick, man, I went to Laguna Beach yesterday and I saw all these houses, but I was scared to look at the number or how much these houses would cost because I feel like it would just shatter my dreams. It would just discourage me from even having that dream. Nick sent me just like a 10-second audio note on Facebook and he goes, bro, just look at the number. It's just a fucking number. It's just a number. And that, like, I was like, he's right. Like, why am I giving it all this meaning? It's just a number. And knowing the number, knowing the truth is never a bad thing. So I looked at that number for one of the houses, and it was actually a lot lower than I expected it to be. In my head, I was expecting it to be this ginormous amount. And the actual number was actually pretty reasonable. I'm like, oh, really? That's it. Okay. Like, this is within my reach now, right? So at the end of the day, knowing the numbers, never be scared of it. And you might have to train your brain for that. But one thing that really helps me, I'm like, dude, it's just a number. Just look at the number. It's just a number. Once I know, I can plan for it. So that's that. And then the last thing, I was just talking to Nate about this, where if you look at relationships, people oftentimes, so we've gone through all the examples. I gave you an example on my health, tracking my workouts, tracking my nutrition. Then I gave you an example on my income side, right? Looking at how much money is coming out, how many expenses, right? All of that. In business, that becomes 10 times more important because now you have employees, payroll, sales, marketing, all that stuff. So now I get to do that at a higher level now that I run a business, with a team. But then the last part that I think most people don't want to think that relationships are logical. Most people don't like to believe that, oh yeah, like it's just numbers at the end of the day. People think, oh my God, no, there's so much more. Like, why are you looking at relationships as a game? They make you feel bad. But we're not those people. We are logical people who make logical decisions, and that's why healthy systems exist. So at the end of the day, for you, be honest with me and answer this question. Let's say I gave you two examples of two relationships. Relationship one, they look happy. Relationship two, they look happy, right? On paper. We don't know what's happening underneath. But if I gave you the numbers on each one, you'll likely be able to predict which one is actually healthier. So first one, let's say I gave you the number is, this is how many date nights they go on every week. This is how much time they spend together every week. These are their hobbies that they like doing every week. These are every week they sit down for this long of a time to talk to each other. Every week they send each other this many text messages. Every week they have this many interactions. If I give you a list of data for relationship A and I gave you the list of data for relationship B, let's say relationship A, they go on 1 to 2 date nights a week and they spend 5 to 6 hours every week having one-on-one dialogue with uninterrupted time. You know that data about relationship A. Now look at relationship B. They don't go on any date nights. They don't spend any time together. And the only time they see each other is, when they just run into each other at the house and they, go to bed together and that's it. you will be able to tell the health of the relationship just based on the numbers, right? So at the end of the day, even like the moral of this podcast is health, wealth, and relationships. All three of them can be measured, right? All three of them can be measured. So once you start measuring it and not be attached to the emotions of the numbers, just look at them as numbers, you'll be actually be able to design a better life. Because if you love the person and now you strategically go on more date nights, you spend more quality hours together, you do all those things, it's only going to improve, right? And there are some weeks when you might be traveling and you didn't spend time with your spouse, you didn't spend time with somebody that you're dating, and you'll be able to feel the difference. So you're like, okay, last week I felt off because I didn't spend enough time, because generally I spend 9 hours with that person on the weekends, and this week I only spent 2. So now you'll be able to diagnose it and be like, now I know the action steps to do and I can fix that, right? Or I don't feel that strong in the gym this week. My workout numbers are low. Then you look at your sleep hours and you realize you slept less last week. You didn't drink enough water. Like, you'll be able to predict. So tracking your numbers, never be afraid of it. It's just a number, like Nick told me. And second, knowing the numbers will actually help you get better in that area. And if we're not tracking, we cannot improve, right? And Peter Drucker used to say that. He said, if we're not tracking, we're not improving. So at the end of the day, one of the healthiest systems you can deploy in your life is to start tracking data. Start tracking things, even the basics, right? Small things, and that will help you get better at each area of your life. I hope this helped. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. One, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Moe Gaius, MOE, G as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word Healthy Systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in, and I really appreciate you.